All right, so I am not I never really do crossover videos a whole lot. As a matter of fact, I've actually been nervous to do one. So today I'm doing one just right out of the blue. I thought about it for a minute and I wanted to try to get one done. Obviously, you can see we're talking about Zoro and Kakashi, some of the fan favorites of their respective universes. Both, pretty smart, strategic, strong, capable fighters, and I thought it'd be a good video just to kind of see who would come out on top in this version. Today I got my good buddy Sage of the Thick Calves back again. Say hey, everybody.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Good to be back on the channel. Hope you guys are excited for a good video.
Yeah, so today, this is like the crossover king right now because he's been doing some pretty good job of the crossover videos with the Avatar and Naruto videos. So if you haven't checked him out on YouTube yet, make sure you go do so right now. I'll leave a link in the description for his channel below. Go like and subscribe his videos. That's some awesome work. He's racking up the subscriber count, so be sure to join in on that. But yeah, like we said, I just wanted to try to get one done. I'm a big fan of One Piece. I don't know if y'all have noticed that, but I don't watch it as extensively. I never really talk about it almost ever. But Zoro was like definitely my favorite character when I started watching it as a kid. And I had to go back and look through how strong he had been or how strong he had gotten time skip or pros time skip, excuse me. And this guy's busted. I had no idea Zoro was this strong now. So this kind of and again, I was just looking through, TikTok videos and seeing how strong he was. And this was where I got the idea to do this video. So yeah, I was see how he stacks up against Kakashi. Now the versions of each character we're going to use are as followed. With Zoro, we're just going to use the post time skip Zoro because I think that's just more interesting, honestly, as him at his peak so far. And the versions of Kakashi that we're going to use are War Arc Kakashi, all the War Arc feats that he has pre-DMS, and then we're going to use DMS, and then Hokage Kakashi. And full disclosure, I honestly believe, looking through the scalings of Zoro's strength and whatnot, I think any version of Kakashi pre-War Arc gets beaten. Part 1 gets stomped really bad. Yeah, part 1 gets stomped really bad. Early Shippuden and to Pain Arc kind of gets stomped kind of bad. And I think War Arc Kakashi is where it starts to get a little more even ground. Say what you got.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think, honestly, taking any version of Kakashi pre-War Arc, I mean, he's my favorite character in all of anime, and I can say confidently that if you take, all of the feats from Zoro that we have so far through, Wano and everything, and you put him up against any version of Kakashi pre-war, it's just not a fair fight at all. Namely because of the speed feats that we're going to get into here in a little bit. But yeah, I think, if you guys want to have a separate category of first match, Zoro versus composite pre-war Kakashi, it's just a stomp, 10 out of 10 times. So as much as I hate to say it, Zoro kind of dog walks our boy. But whenever we get into the War Arc, it gets a lot more competitive. So I'm excited to dig into that.
Yeah, so first off, we'll talk about how strong Zoro had gotten. His observation hockey is something that again, like I said, looking back through it, it's just crazy to think about. He's able to use all 5 senses to really just observe and pick up on people's attacks and whatnot. Not to mention, he's able to understand certain attacks by their intent, how they intend to utilize the attack. So he's able to understand certain abilities right off the get-go. His damage output is redonkulous. Just by accident, he was able to cut a side of a freaking cliff. And in the anime, it seemed like it was pretty extensive. So yeah, Zoro's output damage is no joke. And from what I gather, his speed is no joke either. He's able to contest with people who are relatively light speed in the anime. Say what you got.
Yeah, I mean, we can confidently get him above light speed because he literally dodges a light beam attack. And this speed has actually been calced to 1.6 times light speed, so it's not massively FTL, but it's confidently above light speed because of the distance he travels in comparison to the distance the light travels in the same amount of time. And then he also is able to just, compete with characters that regularly are dealing with light speed type attacks like that as well. So especially whenever you get later into the series, you know, you have these things with Kaido and things like that. Like all of these characters should confidently be at least relativistic plus. So we can easily get him there. I'm not comfortable getting him to like some of the highball calcs that people have out there of like, you know, 10, 20 times FTL because they seem like outliers to me. But for the most part, I think it's pretty consistent to say he's right around light speed, maybe a couple times greater.
Yeah. So the thing is, I told Sage this before we started recording, is that when it comes to War Kakashi, Kakashi really only has, even in his 1,000 jutsu arsenal, I really believe that, from what we've seen anyway, Kakashi's only win cons in this would probably be either just Kamui, obviously, and Raikiri. I don't doubt that Raikiri has the obviously extensive damage output to actually kill Zoro, but just the way that I don't know. I told Sage, like, I feel like close quarters is like RIP if you're fighting this guy in close quarters with Zoro. You know, because again, his damage output is crazy to me, and so I feel like Kakashi is fast enough to, you know, pierce Zoro with the Raikiri. That would probably be his. The thing is, like, because again, he can't. I don't know if I can realistically say that Kakashi would be safe using just regular taijutsu against Zoro. So he'd have to like try to get in there quick to stab Zoro with the Raikiri and like get out of there, or use lightning cable. I don't know if Lightning Fang would be enough to, you know, like, I don't feel like it'd be able to stun him just like a lightning style Shadow Clone would do. But I feel like Lightning Cable and the regular Raikiri specifically are gonna what he needs to do to, you know, sever or, you know, get the piercing on Zoro to actually do some lethal damage.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think so. Even though he has crazy durability, I mean, we see Zoro get like punched through a city block worth of buildings, and like the punch itself leveled basically the entire block. So he has insane durability, but specifically whenever it comes to like blunt force attacks, so we do still see him being able to be slashed and stabbed. So somebody that has arguably the best piercing technique in all of Naruto in the Raikiri, which if you look at the databook statements from, you know, Chidori to Raikiri, really the only differences are Chidori's an A rank and Raikiri's an S rank, and then whenever you look at the description of Raikiri, it says it's honed to its limit, which if you look at the description of the attacks, they're just high-speed jabs that are intended to have insane piercing power. So if that's honed to its limit, that just means that it has like the maximum piercing power available, meaning that his Raikiri piercing power should confidently scale above basically any Chidori that we see in the series. I would say pre Six Paths, you know, Sasuke level, because he obviously just gets like crazy AP boost. But his piercing itself should be greater than, you know, what we see from Sasuke against even the fourth Raikage, where he's able to somewhat pierce through the lightning cloak. So that should scale higher than anything that Zoro has resisted in terms of his actual piercing durability, meaning that if Kakashi is able to land a Raikiri, it should just run right through his chest. But the problem with that is Zoro has insane vitality and endurance, so like even if he has a Raikiri, Zoro like grabbing Kakashi's arm and then just like chopping him in half, and then you just have a mutual death. So it's Zoro's kind of a dog when it comes to that. So I'm not sure if Raikiri would be the best option, even though if we're saying that they're relative and their regular combat speeds, maybe with Zoro a little bit faster, the Raikiri amp giving him potentially like a 1 to 3 gate level speed amp should allow for him to actually, you know, get past those defenses and with the Sharingan precog land a Raikiri. But again, like Lightning was talking about, going close quarters with somebody like this is incredibly dangerous. So I do think that the Kamui might be his best option. Do you would sort of want to talk about that, Lightning?
Yeah, because like you know, something else I had picked up on when reading through what Zoro's capable of, you know, his armament hockey is something that's also nothing to scoff at, because he's able to damage people who can only be damaged by elemental attacks, which is crazy in itself. And on to that, he's able to attack people from within, pretty much negating any kind of raw durability. Like, for example, if he were to do so with Kakuzu's diamond morph jutsu would be pretty much negated. So like I said, fighting this guy at close quarters is no joke. But I think that if Kakashi, you know, in universe plays it safe with some clones, which is what he's known to do once he figures out an opponent's ability, if Zoro is like outed himself, you know, as in terms of showing what he's capable of, to a good extent to where Kakashi picks up on it. I think Kakashi will realize that, yeah, fighting close quarters against this guy is not the best idea. So he probably would just rely either on Lightning Cable or Kamui. You know, I'm not necessarily, you know, knocking the use of Raikiri as not being useful in this fight. But again, I think Kakashi, as a meticulous fighter, would probably try to play it safe. Because, again, Zoro's damage output is ridiculous. I don't think I can stress that enough. I think I'm only stressing it so much because I'm so surprised at how strong he's gotten. It is crazy. So, with the Kamui thing, though, I honestly believe that, and I told Sage, I was actually giving Zoro some benefit of the doubt here, because with his observation hockey, there's a chance that he might be able to avoid Kamui, but at the same time, you know, I know me and Sage have a reputation of like hyping up Kamui as an end-all be-all, but I mean, for one thing, like the speed of Kamui on its own is something that really needs to be understood. Like, to me, his best feat with Kamui is when he teleported a moving KCM to Naruto, and even though it was a clone, so you can really argue that KCM Naruto wasn't going at his full speed, but even if he was going like 80% of his full speed, it's still crazy that he was able to Kamui that regardless. But that's not even the most impressive part of that feat. The most impressive part to me of that feat is that Obito, who has the exact same eye and a Rinnegan, thought that he hit the clone and made it disperse. He did not even pick up on the fact at all that Kakashi was able to warp it away. So he even told Kakashi verbatim, like, you missed the chance with the Kamui, like you completely missed it. And so, yeah, to me, I feel like that's all crazy. And so, like, the speed of Kamui on its own is enough to really hammer home that this could be the battle ender for Kakashi. But even more so to the point, Zoro's not going to know anything about Kamui. From what I've seen, nobody in the One Piece universe has an ability quite like Kamui. So Zoro will, it will be the same case like Deidara, because Deidara, even at, you know, when Kamui was at its least impressive, Deidara was still like looking around, not knowing what the heck was going on. And if this is going to be the same case when Kamui's at its most refined, Zoro is not going to even like realize what's happened until it's already happened. You know, he's going to see the warping stuff and he's already going to be gone into the Kamui dimension before he even realizes it. So, like, even with his observation hockey, I do think there's a minimal chance that he could probably avoid Kamui, but at best, he loses like an arm or a leg or like half a torso or something like that. So, that's my, I know, again, me and Sage have a bit of reputation on, you know, wanking the Kamui arguments, but it's something that just can't be, you know, denied. I can't, it can't be stressed enough.
Well, and I would say, like, if you don't think that Kamui is that impressive, then take it up with Kishimoto, because the databook statement on Kamui calls it the ultimate jutsu. I don't know what to tell you. So there's, I don't know. For me, I'm on Lightning's side here. I think that, you know, if it goes into a close quarters combat fight, it's either a win for Zoro or it's a mutual strike. You know, if he puts a Raikiri through his chest and then just gets like cleaved in half, they both die. But if Kakashi does, you know, fight in character like he normally does, send in a clone to check out his abilities, recognize that, you know, it's dangerous getting in close. I mean, maybe you could argue he uses a lightning clone to stun him and then hits him with the Raikiri. I still think that would just result in Zoro grabbing onto him and killing him as well. But I do think if he whips out the Kamui, like, here's the thing. If we're saying they're relative in terms of their physical combat speed, and Kakashi's Kamui steadily outscales his physical speed, like even back in the 5 Kage Summit, he's nowhere near fast enough to dodge Sasuke's Susanoo arrow, but he's able to wipe it out with Kamui, which means that and that's just one example of many of his Kamui outscaling him in terms of its actual speed. So I think that, you know, if we're saying that they're relative in terms of physical combat speed, that means that the Kamui should outspeed Zoro. And again, if you think that maybe he's fast enough to somewhat dodge it, that's fine, but he's not getting around it entirely. So I would lean in the direction of Kakashi here, probably giving him the W 7 times out of 10, with the 3 wins for Zoro being in a case of him just getting in close and dealing too much damage. Are you sort of on that same page?
Yeah, because, like, honestly, if you really go, that's just one Kamui. You know, that's not really even getting into the fact, like, how many times this Kakashi can actually use Kamui. Personally, to me, I think if he just relied on Kamui alone, he's got like maybe 7 shots with it, or maybe 8. You know, he's got enough chakra reserves to handle that. And that's another thing too. Like, I don't really know like how long Zoro can really last in a fight. I don't know how extensive his AP is. I would probably give it to the same amount as War Kakashi. I think his AP is pretty extensive because he seems in most fights he's never really tiring out so much. From what I've seen anyway, he's able to hold his own when it comes to
he's got crazy stamina. Stamina.
So like maybe you could probably put it above War Kakashi because I don't think the Kamui itself there's not a lot of jutsus that take up a whole lot of stamina like Kamui. So or abilities in general in the anime universe that take up as much like stamina as Kamui on its own. So, but again, that whole Kamui argument, that's just one Kamui. Like that's that. Like if Kakashi somehow misses with that first Kamui, he's got a second one ready to go. I'm pretty sure. So, so yeah, I would probably give this one to Kakashi again. You know, like Sage said, to be 7. I was giving Zoro the benefit of the doubt from like I feel like it's crazy how strong and capable he is, but I don't know. I don't know. War Kakashi is always a separate beast on its own, but yeah, I probably agree with you. I like 7. Yeah, 7 out of 10. So now we're going to DMS Kakashi, and I don't look. To be honest with you, I know some of you are probably even asking like, why would we even include DMS? Because he's pretty much one of the most untouchable people in anime. Period. But believe it or not, as I was thinking about this fight and going over it in my head and looking it up online or whatever to see other people's opinions about it, there are people who actually think that like Zoro can contest with DMS Kakashi.
Those people need to get their heads checked. Just being totally honest.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to downplay Zoro at all, but what is he gonna like? The best option is that if he can outlast in the time limit for DMS, but most opponents get taken care of before the time limit even expires. Like, to say that Zoro would contest with DMS Kakashi is borderline saying that he'd be able to contest with people like Ten Tails Mater, who, like, yes, I do think Ten Tails Mater is relatively, like, pretty much stronger, quote unquote, than DMS Kakashi, but there's almost no one in anime that has that much hacks than DMS Kakashi. He's like a walking cheat code, pretty much. So I don't think, like, just perception alone, Kakashi should be able to like see any ability incoming from Zoro enough time to either dodge, warp, or phase right through an attack. So, and that's not even getting into his freaking Susanoo. Like, what is he gonna do against Kakashi Susanoo? Like, that is, again, walking cheat code. Or flying cheat code in this case. I don't know what to. Yeah. I really don't know what to. I say I'm rambling. What do you got, Sage?
You know, honestly, he wouldn't even need the Susanoo. And a lot of people also, they talk about the short, timer for the DMS state, but they forget that, the Susanoo uses an enormous amount of chakra, so that probably cut that time down significantly. If he doesn't use the Susanoo, which, why would he? He's not fighting, an alien goddess like what he was in the original, DMS Kakashi fight that he was in. So there's no reason for him to even use it. So you could argue that, like, he would get significantly more time out of that, but he wouldn't even need it because, like, people hype up, the Kamui Raikiri, super impressive. People hype up, the Kamui Shuriken, super impressive. But the most impressive thing that he did, in my opinion, is whenever Kaguya opens the portal to shoot the bone ash at Naruto, 6-path Sage Mode Naruto, who is faster than Jubi Madara and Guy, even in the 8th gate, like faster than all those guys. And in the time that it takes that Naruto to move like 2 inches, Kakashi's able to use Kamui to warp away her portal and the bone ash. So his Kamui at this point in time unironically speed blitzes characters on the level of Kaguya, Naruto, Sasuke. Everybody's getting folded by this thing. People will ask, like, why didn't he use it against Kaguya? It's like, because Hagoromo said they can't kill her, they have to seal her. So, like, why would he? But yeah, with that being said, it's so much massively faster than anything Zoro can replicate that he would just get sniped before he can even recognize what's going on. There's not really anything else to talk about here, to be honest. It's not close.
Yeah. So I guess now we can go on to Hokage Kakashi. Now I think this one, I personally think it'd be decently even. Because Kakashi doesn't have his hacks of Kamui, anymore. Now that said, y'all know me, like y'all know that Hokage Kakashi is my favorite version of Kakashi, because of how strong he's gotten, despite the fact he lost his walking hacks of Kamui. But like I don't know, I say it all the time, but this Kakashi should not be downplayed whatsoever. He's one of the strongest ninja, or one of the strongest anime characters to walk the planet. And yeah, he's got so much more stamina. His speed and his reaction time has grown exponentially. He's got, still extremely high versatility of jutsu arsenals. Not to mention his Shinden and his fire style water mist jutsu. But that said, though, I do think that, in my opinion at least, and Sage does kind of agree with me on it. We kind of have a slightly different opinion on it, but we're kind of the same contention. I still think that close quarters would be a bad idea, despite in spite of how strong this Kakashi physically is now. In my opinion, I think Kakashi's best bet would be to rely on the purple lightning, because he can use it like several different ways. And so he doesn't necessarily have to get up in close quarters. I do recognize that like Kakashi should be fast enough to like get in and get out with a purple lightning pierce or a chop or whatever. But I don't know, I don't want to sleep on Zoro's output damage. I know I keep sounding redundant about it, but to me it's crazy how strong Zoro has gotten, and Zoro's speed is nothing to scoff at either. So like in my opinion, I think that like Zoro could contest with Hokage Kakashi. What do you guys say?
I'm going to be the one that gets crucified here, because I don't think this is close at all. I think this might be worse than the DMS Kakashi one, because even though DMS Kakashi is more hacks, this version of Kakashi is significantly faster than either of the versions that we talked about before. I mean, maybe you could scale DMS Kakashi right at Hokage Kakashi's speed, but here's the problem. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds in terms of scaling, because I know people get bored with the numbers, but essentially most people can agree that minimum level for a blitz tier difference in speed is 4 times. So the version of Kakashi who was fighting in the War Arc, I think we can all agree is at least 1 blitz tier below 8th Gate Guy. So he's 4 times slower, at least. That version of 8th Gate Guy is at least 1 blitz tier below 6-Path Sagebo Naruto. So at least another 4 times. That version of 6-Path Sagebo Naruto that was able to blitz the 2-eyed Rinnegan Madara, who should be, Rinnegan Jubidara, who should be relative to that 8th Gate Guy, he's getting blitzed by Kaguya. So another 4 times. Then he gets stronger throughout the fight and faster and all that good stuff. But Kaguya is supposed to be relative to Momoshiki, who's relative to base Hokage Naruto. And base Hokage Naruto is at worst, actually at best, relative to Delta, who's relative to Koji, who's relative to Hokage Kakashi. So you have literally 4 to the 3rd power order of magnitude increase in terms of speed at bare minimum. It's just not close. Like, he's just outright blitzing and slamming Zoro. And I mean, I'm gonna get hate for this in the comments, and that's totally fine. But it's just like, to me, like, there's no reason for me to believe he wouldn't be able to. Now, in character, he's going to do exactly what he always does. He's going to test out Zoro's abilities, send in a clone, all that good stuff. But if he decides that he just wants to blitz this guy, he totally can. So, I don't know. Like, and people talk about how he can't use the Raikiri anymore. He can't use it safely because the Raikiri is a full speed attack. The Chidori is a full speed attack. The Sharingan Perception Amp is to allow you to move at full speed. He doesn't have that anyway. He doesn't have that problem. You see, because he can move at 80% speed and still, blitz this guy. So, I mean, he might even resurrect the Raikiri. I don't know. So I'm like, there's nothing to me that suggests that Zoro would even be able to react to him. So I know that's anticlimactic. I know people are going to hate it, but Kakashi just dog walks him.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, guys. Like I said, I might be contradicting myself, because again, I feel like maybe I do sleep on Hokage Kakashi, despite the fact that I feel like he's definitely one of the strongest people to walk the earth. It's just one of those things. It's like, I don't know. Maybe the surprise factor of how strong Zoro is still kind of like, you know, weighing on my mind a bit. Because I just don't want to sleep on Zoro either. But I understand where your stage is coming from, like 110%. Like, this is Hokage Kakashi. He's my favorite version of Kakashi, specifically because of how hacked he is now, despite the fact that he lost his Sharingan. So, I think, like, at best though, Zoro can at least contest with Kakashi's fire style water best jutsu, because Zoro's has the ability to just kind of like chop through, you know, fire attacks and whatnot as if it was nothing. But that's not to say that like the damage output from the fire style water mist is not extensive, because it definitely is. It was able to overpower an elemental disadvantage from a stage of the Six Path Ninja tool. That's no joke. It's almost as if like the thing's a summoning, so it's almost like a backup in a way. So in terms of versatility, I think Kakashi does take it. I think I might be sleeping on Hokage Kakashi, but I definitely don't want to sleep on Zoro. In my opinion, though, I think Kakashi takes it 6, 7 out of 10. I know I might get hate for that as well, because I feel like a lot of people might say I'm sleeping on Kakashi here. I don't know. Again, if y'all want to chalk it up to me being ignorant, maybe, or whatever, or me just not knowing what I'm talking about, I think the surprise factor of Zoro's, you know, ability is still present right now for me. So if you are hating on me because you think I'm sleeping on Kakashi, that's probably why. So don't give me too much hate on it. Just kind of take it with a grain of salt if you want. But I think that Kakashi does win. I just think it's just a bit more even, I feel like. I think Kakashi does have it in terms of speed and raw strength. I just don't want to sleep on Zoro.
Yeah, no, Zoro's super strong, and, you know, I'm a fan of One Piece, and I think like these characters are super interesting, and the abilities are dope. But whenever you get to the top tiers of characters, you know, the scaling just really doesn't reach the same level of, and this is going to be unpopular because, you know, Gear 5 versus Naruto, but the scaling in One Piece just doesn't quite get to the same outrageous levels that it does in Naruto and especially in Boruto. So yeah, it becomes an unfair fight the later we get into the series. I do think that, you know, if you want to give a W to, you know, Zoro for any of these versions, War Art Kakashi is probably the best argument. I will say, like, his battle IQ being superior to Zoro's and his versatility being superior should help him out as well. But if you want to say, like, he's not going to use the Kamui that early in the fight, sure, okay, I'll hear that, and maybe we can give the win to Zoro. But these last two matchups are just really not that close. And I love Zoro, dude. He's probably my second favorite character in the series. But, you know, it is what it is when it comes to the scaling. So
yeah, so there y'all have it. There is my very first, you know, crossover video. Thank you, Sage, for hopping on the channel with me again, for helping me out with this one.
Dude, anytime. I'm always happy to hop on the channel, and we'll be having you over on my channel here pretty soon as well. So looking forward to that. If you guys have not subscribed to Lightning, make sure you go hit that sub button, because you made it this far into the video. We're 20-something minutes in, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also hit the like button to get it out to more people as well.
For sure. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will be doing another crossover video here in a few weeks. I got one in the works for y'all, so just stay tuned, and until my next one, LightningSnow out.